Welcome to Hot Muppet Summer, the first episode of our coverage of all things Muppets. We are lifelong Muppet fans, right, Bri?
Right, Candace?
And today we decided to go back about a decade, because I cannot believe it's been a decade, to go back to the ABC The Muppet, which was a live action half-hour sitcom co-created by Bill Bradley and Bob Cashell. And it's the first Muppet series in 20 years since Muppets Tonight, which we will talk about. And it was all about the Muppets putting on a late night show, Late Night with Miss Piggy, and the behind the scenes aspect. It was like The Office meets the Muppets meets 30 Rock. It was a single camera mockumentary with the cutaway interviews.
Yeah, like, they had their own reality show, mockumentary. It's what they did in The Office. Parks and Rec had this as well,
Yeah.
and also Modern Family, but also reality shows have these as well, and they're called confessionals. Little little tidbit for you guys.
So there was a test pilot created to show ABC the concept and be like, hey, this is great. And it was shown at various festivals as part of ABC's Summer Block Party, as well as San Diego Comic-Con. And eventually, due to popular demand, probably a bunch of nerds like us being like, "Give it to us," they gave it to us, and they put it on the YouTube. The first episode came out September 22nd, 2015. But a big part of this was that Miss Piggy and Kermit had broken up. That's what everyone was talking about. They were on doing the interview circuit, and it was all everyone could talk about. It reminded me of when Barbie and Ken broke up as a marketing
Mhm.
ploy. And did you think that Kermit and Miss Piggy were in, like, a committed relationship? Or it always felt like she was just, like, trying to pursue him to me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to look back to all the Muppet movies and
I think the Jason Segel 2011
mhm.
one, they're together, or they were together. They bought a house together, and he couldn't commit. Kermit's a commitment phobe. I'm just saying it here. The 2015 Muppets Most Wanted, they're, like, together, and she wants to get married, and he again is like, "No, thank you."
He's non-committal. So,
Mm.
honestly, it's not that far of a leap that they were together and broken up.
Why this show only lasted a season, and
I'm sorry, it's so disappointing when I binge watch a show for like, to rewatch for this. I was laughing, I was in my field, I was like, there's so much richness in the dialogue, in the comedic jokes, like, I fell in love with this series all over again, and then have to be reminded that it's only 1 season, and it is a crushing feeling because I really there's just so much heart to this, and granted, I think every show kinda stumbles in the first couple of episodes, right? You need to
yes.
find your footing, and the Muppets actually, I think midway through took a hiatus, they hired all new writers, they flushed things out, but I even still like the first half even with the other writers, but Lisa and Rec did that season 1, and
Yeah,
they got
season
renewed for
1 is
season.
terrible.
Yeah, and then, like, season 2 and on, it's, like, one of the perfect shows, and I'm like, "You couldn't just have held out a little?"
The biggest complaint I've seen is that it was too cynical, especially before the refresh. And what Jim Henson, I was watching a interview with him on a very close before he passed, and Arsenio asked, "Why are the Muppets so endearing? Why do people still love them?" And he said, "It's just because they have this optimism to them." And the first couple episodes can are a little bit not what you expect from the Muppet. And there was some big issues behind the scenes, like Steve Whitmer, who had been playing Kermit, Rizzo, and a lot of other characters since he was playing Kermit since Jim passed. This is what, like, ended his Muppet career since the 70s because he had issues with the scripts, like when Kermit lies to his nephew Robin about Piggy and him still being together. I do think it's probably more than that. I think there's more that happened.
I was about to say, because why did he hate that? Because honestly, I thought that was really a flaw that was really done well in an art is I could see that happening to someone like, "Oh, we gotta pretend because we need to keep his hope alive, that there's still, like, love there." And that's what I got out of it. And then I think throughout that too, it's like it's developing Kermit's, like, when you get to episode 16, right? But you're planting little hints that there's still something possibly between them, and I think you
Yeah.
need that buildup. So, to me, I don't mind the lie because it helps lay that foundation for those building blocks where you needed to hit that moment for episode 16.
Yeah, and I feel like they were hitting their stride, and it could have been better. It could have gotten there if they had just one more season, especially
I think
with
so.
the new showrunner. Kristen Newman, who was brought in, did an excellent job. I feel like there was a lot more heart brought into the episodes, and also just the idea of the rest of the characters being part of the Miss Piggy's talk show just gave them more on-screen time in the actual show, which is great.
But you said that it is said geared towards children, you said. And I want to bring up a point that executive producer Bob Kushel said when he explained the intention behind the series.
Mhm.
And he said, "We have," to quote, "we have the opportunity to explore these characters as individuals with their own emotional lives that are separate from each other and aren't shadowed by each other's presence, as I think they have been for the last 20 years. It's not just a behind the scenes look at a show, but it's the relationship driven emotional stories that people go through in their personal lives. Everyone in this version of the Muppets wants to push them further in a way they've never been before." Kushel added, "Rightfully or wrongfully, the Muppets became more of a kids' product over the years. We want to bring them all the way back to what they were intended to be and then some, but never so much that anyone has to explain anything uncomfortable to their kids."
I don't think this was a problem of marketing, because if you look at a lot of the promos that came out, it was definitely like, this is a little bit more grown up. Because I was just watching one, and it's ABC stars interacting with the Muppets, like, they're on the same studio lot,
Mhm.
and Kermit's talking to one of the actors from one of the family shows, and Nathan Fillion comes out of Miss Piggy's trailer, and his shirt's all unbuttoned, and, like, he looks very ruffled, and Kermit's face,
Did you like the little scrunch-in words?
it wasn't trying to hide what it was. During the production of The Muppets, ABC got a new head honcho who decided to revamp the network's schedule and keep a
Mm,
lot more of the established shows on air and took a lot of the newer shows off, changed the direction of ABC. So it might not
alright.
be quite all the Muppets' fault that they were off there.
No, here's the thing, I don't think it was the Muppets' fault. I think it's audience not appreciating the humor that this was because I went to a lot of Reddit threads and everything and even a lot of opinion pieces on why it failed. Every person said, "Oh, it failed because it was too mature." Yeah,
It
because 'cause
likes
they're
to
like,
round
"It's
up is what
unsuitable
Sam.
for family viewing," but again, this didn't have any cuss words in it. They alluded to things. I think it was done very tastefully.
Racy for the Muppets for a Family show, well, not quite racy, but, like, complicated, was in the episode with Kristen Chenoweth, and she's with the Electric Mayhem in their band going to Floyd's parents' anniversary party to sing, and she asks, like, Floyd and Janice how long they've been together,
Mm.
and Janice, "I belong to no one," and Teeth implies that he's with her too. Like,
Yeah, I get you, but at the same time, I'm like, Electric Mayhem just screamed free love.
good for Janice. You do you, girl. I'm fine with that as an adult, but if I was watching with a child and I had to explain that to them, that would be a little bit awkward.
Do you think a child would care though?
Yeah, or I don't know. But the Janice just getting around because, like, she's also, like,
Girl.
she's flirting with the head hounds. in one episode.
Yes, yeah, Ed Helms was into it.
They do also make the joke about the band. They're like, "Oh, they're happy all the time. They're happy legally now." Luckily, this was not the end of the Muppets. They came out with the new Muppet Babies cartoon. There is Muppets Now, which was only one season that came out in 2020,
Mhm.
and, of course, the Haunted Mansion, and my favorite, Muppets Mayhem, which we will talk about soon.
Oh, I hope everyone has a hot Muppet summer,
Yeah.
and I it'd be great to hear other people's thoughts on the show too, just because 'cause I'm so
Yeah.
curious, yeah.
Do you have fond memories of the show? I'm Candace,
I'm Bree.
and stay geeky.